Hey everybody, Arturo Johnson here. You ever wonder why rich people that you see that are super famous end up broke again? You ever wonder why you see people that are stuck in a perpetual cycle just chasing money over and over and over again, and it seems like it's just a fleeting thought that they could never just get off the rat race? You ever wonder why there's certain people that it seems like success and money just flows and attracts to them effortlessly? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 mistakes that rich people make that makes them poor again. So one of the most important things that you have to understand is it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and life insurance agents specifically, they make is they don't understand these 7 principles. So if you stay to the end of this video, I'm going to give you 7 mistakes to avoid so that you don't end up in financial ruin. So number 1 is they overestimate themselves and they think that everything that they touch will turn to gold. And what happens here is that you overestimate your success and you diversify too much and overextend yourself into these areas that you don't know that much about. And Warren Buffett has one big principle when it comes down to business and investing. And he says that you only invest in things that you know about. And a lot of times as early on entrepreneurs, we tend to have some success, and then we scale our business from 0 to 10, 20, 30, 50, even 100K. And now we think that everything we touch turns to gold. We start testing out new things. We start over leveraging ourselves. And that's where we get into this big, never ending chase of things collapsing and trying to put out fires. And that's because we think everything that we touch turns to gold. Number 2 is we lose track of our spending. And this is what I like to call lifestyle creep. And so what happens is as your income starts to scale up, right? This is the first time that you've ever had success and started to make money. And so that gap between where you are right now and where you were a year or 2 years ago, it feels like it hasn't been closed. And it's because of this lifestyle creep. And one of the biggest reasons why this happens is because you're paying to spend money now that your brain tells you there's no pain there because you make more income. And that is because now you can afford to spend $500 on a Louis Vuitton belt. Now you can spend $1,000 on a pair of Louis Vuitton shoes and it doesn't bother you at all. So now that sense of, oh, I got to check my bank account isn't there anymore. And you can spend money and not have to look at it. And the challenge with that is like over time, it's just like anything else. It compounds and you look up and your monthly expenses are gone from $4,000, what they used to be, to 6, 8, 10, even $12,000. And you're only making 20K a month in the business, or if you're making 30, your expenses are 22, so you're only bringing home 8. And now you're looking at this thing because your lifestyle's crept up, like you have to maintain this. And so this is a really big challenge for new entrepreneurs in the space. I know for a little bit, I had this issue because it was the first time that I had ever made 6 figures. It's the first time I'd ever made 7. And I had went my whole life being broke and living check to check. So I wanted to start experiencing some of the success and reaping some of the benefits of that. And I started to let my lifestyle creep. And it wasn't until I took a step back and took a look at everything and I was like, wait a minute, I see the same things here. Is I have more income, but I am still living month to month as opposed to check to check. And the reason why this is important is because now your spending ceiling is so high, right? Like Uber Eats, dinner, wine, new gadgets, buying homes, buying cars. Now these expenses are fruits of labor and you get a dopamine hit from it. It also raises your status and your perceived success to other people, that now you get addicted to leveling up your life so that everybody can see it. And this is directly the way that lifestyle creep happens. Number 3 is spending money that's supposed to come in. So now that you have payment plans and you have recurring revenue, right? You know what you can forecast at the beginning of the month. So sometimes you want to reinvest into something. And I am notorious for this, is you want to spend it as it is coming in. And it took me a while to understand that, you don't want to count it until it's in your hand. And my mom always says is don't count it until it's in your hand, right? And so what I had to stop doing was counting it before it came into the bank account. And this was what was the biggest struggle for me. It was a mindset over money when I was a new entrepreneur, when I was making 10, 20K per month. I was ready to spend it. I was ready to invest. I was ready to level up. I was ready to show people that I was having success. But I had to hold off for the short-term gratification for the long-term payoff. And the reason why this is dangerous is because what happens is you expect that money to come in that you've already spent, and then there's always something that happens. There's always a delay. There's always a failed card payment. There's always some excuse from your clients, or there's another expense that comes up in the business. And now you're in this perpetual chase to get back to zero, right? And you have to do a couple things. One is you have to take out a short-term loan to kind of bridge that gap until that income comes in. Or worst case scenario, you got to liquidate some of the assets that you've built that you've been kind of putting away in order to fill the gaps until that cash flow comes in. And this is very dangerous. And what you want to do is you want to wait until the money comes in. Again, you don't want to count the money until it's in your hand or in your bank account. And there's a saying that deals are like buses. They come every 15 minutes. So there'll always be another one. Number 4 is feeling like you made it. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs make, is they start to take their foot off the gas because they start reading the press, they start reading the clips, they start listening to everything that everybody's saying around them in their organization or around town in their business. They start reading the tea leaves on social media about how awesome they are. They start drinking the Kool-Aid from all the testimonials that they're getting, and they take their foot off the gas. And that's one of the things that I learned from Dave Anderson. And he's somebody who coaches the elite athletes like Damian Lillard and some of the successful people in the NBA. He's like the top 1% of the 1%. They have this in-depth obsession and they never take their foot off the gas. And this is what you have to have if you want to continue to compete and stay at that next level. And the reason why this is important is because business is one of the most competitive sports. And if you take your foot off the gas for 1 second, there's a new upcoming person that's waiting in the wings that as soon as you take your foot off the gas, they're ready to take your spot. And probably the most important thing is that you'll miss out on opportunities to grow, right? And what will happen is you'll start to read the tea leaves and think that, you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you'll miss opportunities. And then what's going to happen is your costs are going to continue to rise, and then you're going to be stuck waiting in the wings, and somebody's going to be taking your spot. And now you're no longer going to be the top dog and not have the recognition. And now you're going to be playing defense as opposed to playing offense just to stay afloat. Number 5 is not being diversified in multiple asset classes. And I see this one all the time too. And it really took me a moment because I was really reinvesting so much profits back into the business that I just felt like my margins were so thin. And what I learned was this very, very simple strategy is that I wanted to break everything up into a third. So whenever the profits came the first week of the month, when we settled the books with our accountant, what I started doing is I started diversifying everything into these 3 categories. The first one was obviously leaving some in the business, 1/3 in the business. Then the other one I would just put into a dollar cost averaging account with Vanguard that would just model the S&P just to make sure that I was getting a return on my money that was outpacing inflation, that consistently outperformed the S&P every single year for the last 100 years. And then the third one is that I kept some in cash, right? And most people say, oh, why would you keep it in cash? Well, cash allows you to have confidence. And when you have a lot of confidence and you have cash, it allows you to see opportunities and take risks that are calculated in order for you to continue to up level and have success and grow your business. There's a reason why rich people invest in art, and it's not because they love Picasso. It's because it's an alternative asset class that outperforms the S&P, and it's not directly correlated to the market to bring them unlimited returns. And so what you want to start doing is you want to start thinking like a smart investor, an intelligent investor. Number 6 is you get used to overpaying for things. And so when you get ready to fly, you don't want to wait in line. So you upgrade to business class and pay the extra 20, 50, 100 bucks, whatever it is. You start flying first class, even if you're thinking a little bit bigger, right? You're starting to fly private, which is like 60,000 bucks for a 1 to 2 hour flight both ways. And you start paying for convenience rather than your time. And what happens is you get in this perpetual cycle where you can always justify how paying for this right now is going to give you more time back, which is going to allow you to make more money. And the big problem with this is now people will start to notice that they'll see that you're willing to pay a little bit more, a little bit of a higher premium for most things. people will notice that and they'll start to take advantage of you. And you'll see this all the time where people will come up to you with deals, they come up to you with ideas because they know that you'll pay for convenience at any rate. And this is one of the things that you really, really have to watch out for, because this is one that will creep up on you in an instant. And the reason why is because you don't have the pain that is associated, which I told you at the beginning of this video, with spending, right? And so if you don't have that and you can justify it logically, then emotionally you'll think that it makes sense. And what happens is that thing starts to perpetually cycle. And it's like a flywheel and a snowball effect that at some point you'll end up spending more money in convenience that would then cost you time, because now you've got to try to figure out how to make that money back. Number 7 is not continuing to level up. And there's a saying that at every level, there's a different devil. What got you from 0 to 1 million is not the same thing that's going to take you from 1 million to 100 million. And I see this so often with life insurance agents where they say, oh, I got 20 years of experience. No, you don't. You got 1 year of experience that is repeated over a 20-year period of time. And what life insurance agents do is they stay stuck in this perpetual cycle. They stay stuck in this same group of people that they're past, and now they get elevated to the front of the class. And now they're the top dog and everybody comes to them. Everybody wants to interview them. Everybody wants to know what they're doing on the leaderboards, right? They have this status of being the top guy that everybody admires. And what you don't realize is now you have this glass ceiling where you can stay perpetually stuck. If you're the biggest fish in the water, then you probably need a bigger pond. And so for me personally, I spend a minimum of about 100K per year reinvesting in myself and in the business for personal development, sales, mentorship, mindset, leveling up, trainings on how to be a better leader, how to hire and acquire new talent, all of these things to try to level up my game and my business with skills and tools from some of the best people in the industry. And so if you aren't growing, you're dying. And so I hope this video was very helpful. Again, try to avoid the 7 mistakes rich people do that ends up ultimately making them poor. I'll see you in the next video.